I always want to do multiple reviews when it comes to Valentine's half-month schedules that I did back in 2017 and 2018. But since that were in 2021 and not 2019, well, I have experience in completely doing multiple videos at one time. This is something I'm going to be doing. Just like the fanfic reading I'm going to be uploading in a few days or several, I'm going to be doing a bonus video that centers around Valentine's Day. And this video I'm going to be doing is another Generation 5 predictions on a romance with a purpose. Believe me, I can tell that this video alone, when it comes to romances of My Little Pony, is just way more infamous when it comes to people's thoughts on Flash Century and stuff. And I will admit, it is difficult to actually think of Generation 5 doing the same gimmick of having romance into it. However, since that there are so many issues involving Generation 4 romances and the fact that there are other cartoons that have done this ideal slightly better, I'm going to discuss on the fact that romance should have a major factor in the 5th generation if it does have some kind of role into it. For starters, we should be aware that there is definitely going to be love in Generation 5, just like in the 4th generation when it comes to characters falling in love with each other. Someone who's been watching Friendship is Magic for a while and can understand who these characters relate to, you can really tell that Generation 4 did what they could in order to make the romance work, but for comedy's sake. Mainly Big Mac and Cheryl Lee from the Season 2 episode. However, people, no matter who they ship with, are always against the shipping when it comes to male characters with female characters. And to me, even if I can find the shipping hate and understandable, but at the same time, it's starting to become really annoying to the point that every time I see this, it just gets really old. And then sometimes I really expect something better from the haters. The reason why I'm saying this is because the biggest issues that Generation 4 had is the fact that the romance are really rushed when it comes to Twilight and Flash Century. Although I do not ship these two and I'm totally against the haters, I can at least understand that the execution between these two characters in the Equestria Girls movies were really phoned in. And I can tell that they did not do a good job into making the execution better. So what do I actually want to expect Generation 5 to do? Well, simple. Don't do any of the mistakes that Generation 4 did, including Equestria Girls, and actually have romance an actual purpose instead of just being something in the background. For example, I get that other cartoons did bisexual or lesbian or anything that when it comes to loving relationships, and I can guarantee you that Generation 5 is going to do the same thing. However, whether I completely see these ideals in other shows, I really think that Generation 5 should take inspiration from those while also understanding how the relationship can handle. Now, before you ask, yes, I am fully aware that they did that when it comes to Rarity and Applejack, and it does make sense. However, when I'm referring to romantic relationships, I'm referring to a male and a female that is done it the right way. And one of those examples I mean that is mainly the Connie and Steven relationship, which I'm gonna be talking about a lot once I upload that Anthology review on Valentine's Day. What I actually appreciate when it comes to this relationship from other cartoons is the fact that they can actually take advantage of the opportunities that they have, while also have people adoring the relationship, like treating it as cute, but also a coming-of-age story. Granted, there are so many decisions that I do not like when it comes to this relationship, which I'm gonna get to in further parts of the anthology, but that's for a later time. What Generation 5 should take is probably take the route that Generation 4 took when it comes to romantic relationships. I honestly think that the male character, being a supporting character, should have a role when it comes to the situations that the main cast are going to get themselves into. I know fully well that the main cast of the Generation 5 show is gonna be fully female, so it's no surprise that no male is gonna be a main character. But then again, these predictions are done early, so we don't know what's going to happen once we see the trailer and information about Generation 5. What I actually think that what Generation 5 can do is to at least give a male character who has a romantic relationship with that certain main character an actual purpose, while also giving him a character instead of what Flash was portrayed in Across the Universe. Yes, I can understand it's a difficult task that people may not like, but whether I completely look at the first movie and how it was back then and compared to how it is now after almost 3.5 years, I can tell that this movie could have had major changes if a male character actually had a romantic relationship with the main character instead of being exclusive to Equestria Girls. My point is that if the Generation 5 movie does the same thing, what does something unique when it comes to having a male character being in love with a female character, or the female character has developed feelings to that male character, it would probably give an interesting romantic relationship between the two characters. Now, yes, it is complicated to actually make a relationship correct, whether if it's a main character or a female character. But I really think that I really should expect Generation 5 to actually take risks in order to be its own thing, in order to actually improve the mistakes that they did in Generation 4. Because no matter what you address about Flash Sentry or not, he is literally a character that is a tool for Twilight to work with. And as much as the hate that he keeps getting, that hate is starting to become really redundant, whether I see people discussing their hatred towards Flash Sentry. I mean, when I was new to the franchise, I can understand, but just thinking about it now, and the fact that Equestria Girls is taking a long time in order to come back from a hiatus, which will probably not end up happening, it's really disappointing to actually see him being in this situation. Now, this may be way earlier to think about, but if people are going to actually discuss on the romantic relationship, the possible romance in Generation 5, is that they should probably expect the future when it comes to romantic relationships. Because believe me, there should always be plans ahead of time when it comes to the writers pairing up a certain character to the male character in the relationship before they get some more development. Steven Universe did the same thing when it comes to its earlier seasons, and it took time for them to actually kiss each other at the final episode before Steven leaves. And even though if you may like this ship or not, I do have my own perspective of what I actually feel about the ship and how it does some improvements over romance when it comes to characters growing up in the coming of age story. So, what can Generation 5 can do when it comes to the new cast of characters? Well, I can guarantee you that the cast of characters are obviously going to be much more different than the original cast. Yes, it did mention that the original cast may return in some of the capacity in the new generation, but at the same time, there's still going to be a new cast and a new generation of ponies for a new generation of fans. And I honestly think that the new generation of fans should actually expect the unexpected when it comes to relationships, whether it's bisexual, lesbian, or anything that involves a relationship that has romance. And even though that I have opinions when it comes to the romance in Generation 4 and I'm not fully on board with, I can at least understand onto why it has a shipping fan base from those particular shippings. So, yeah. I really expect that the 5th generation should probably make some improvements over the last generation, while also try to make some improvements, because at this point, I am really getting sick of the romance and the Equestria Girls that it's starting to become really overrated, and the more I hear about it, the more it's starting to become really immature and really irritating. Yes, I know what I said is mostly harsh, but that's just basically what I feel when it comes to the hate of the male characters of Equestria Girls, mainly Flash and Timber. and how the romance is going to be handled out as the series goes on, it's mostly debatable. I mean, as of now, we know that the 5th generation is going to start off with a movie, and probably in the following year, we're probably going to get an announcement when it comes to the show in general. Again, there are so many plans going on when it comes to the 5th generation at this point, and whatever happens when it comes to the 5th generation, I really hope that they actually make some major improvements once we see episodes from the 5th generation. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm more than ready to see what they can do when it comes to what they can handle involving romance. Because when it comes to other romances in the show, they did well, mainly Pure Butter and Bright Mac. But as for Flash Century and Twilight and the others, my god, I'm just glad that sometimes I wish that Questacles can continue, but at the same time, I wish it's on hiatus so that people would stop complaining about Flash Century and Temple Sprouts. But then again, we don't know what's going to happen if Questacles does return. So that's basically my Generation 5 video for this month. I really hope that you actually understand what I'm actually coming from when it comes to the possible romance in Generation 5. And I really hope that, unlike in the previous generation, it's gonna be an improvement in Generation 5. I'm Lonely Fanboy 4 here, and I'll upload the multiple reviews of Valentine's Half Month in the next following days.
Let's get this started again. Me and my whole